Another Friday, another candid video as I'm driving with really crappy lighting. Not necessarily very nice weather outside, it's gloomy and rainy. But I thought, what the heck? I was talking to a coworker the other day and telling him a story about why I don't have a problem speaking to large groups of people. Now, I've never had any formal public speaking situations. I've talked to groups of doctors in my career. I've talked to groups of case managers and physicians. I've given presentations for work and sales, obviously. And I've gotten in front of a few groups as well, like the Boy Scouts, and given a small speech. But no actual real publicly, formally scheduled public speaking events. But I have no fear of public speaking. And I can tell you a story about why I have no fear of public speaking. And it boils down to when I was at Florida State University. Go Noles. I got my master's at Florida State in sports administration, and one of the classes that I took was sport finance. And in that sport finance class, one of the assignments we had was giving a presentation in front of the class. I want to say it was a 10-minute presentation. The topic that I chose was sport agents and their role in the grooming and fostering of athletes. In my presentation, I decided I was going to take a snippet of the movie He Got Game, starring Denzel Washington and Ray Allen as Jesus Shuttlesworth. And I wanted to show the scene, which you may or may not be familiar with, of the part where there is an agent who is talking to Ray Allen's character about everything that he can bring to him as an agent. And it was a great 1.5, maybe 2-minute scene that would serve perfectly for what I was going to be presenting on. So, this is going back now, I'm dating myself, this is in the days of the VHS. So I got my VHS tape, I rewound it and lined it up perfectly to that spot in the movie where I would need it to be for my presentation, and I took it with me. I popped it in the VCR, and I was ready to push play for that particular part of my presentation. So I started talking. I was nervous. I was not a public speaking aficionado. I didn't have any real formal experience or training on it, so I was a little bit nervous to present to a classroom of, 20 people. But I started talking, and I got to the part about 3 minutes into my presentation. I got to the part where I had to show the video. So I went to the TV, the VCR, and I pushed play. And wouldn't you know that it popped up, if you've seen He Got Game, there's a scene that I had not thought about immediately prior to the scene with the sport agent talking to the athlete. There's a scene where the athlete, Ray Allen's character, is in a Ferris wheel with his girlfriend getting it on. So I pushed play to some bow chicka bow wow, and the whole class broke out in laughter. And I'm oh my gosh, I'm panic mode to stop, fast forward, and get to where it is. Well, what I noticed and what really occurred to me really quickly is I bombed that real fast. I pushed play in a higher education master's degree program to a sex scene in a movie, which should have been or could have been, bankrupting for my presentation. But what actually happened was the opposite. The classroom laughed. The professor giggled. It lightened the room. People kind of dropped their shoulders a little bit. The presentation was fun now. And I kind of felt that energy shift in the room, and it changed the way in my comfort level, which is funny because you'd think when you push play on a sex scene in a classroom setting, it could be really bad. And it could have been. And I could have taken it really badly and just clammed up and shut down. But I didn't. I don't know why, but like I said, the mood in the room changed and shifted a bit. People were laughing, and it became kind of funny. I can't remember what joke I told, but I kind of told a dumb joke, not an actual, joke, but I made a dumb line about the scene and whatever happened in the classroom, laughed a little bit. And from that point forward, I went on with the rest of my presentation feeling a lot less heavy, a lot less weight on my shoulders, and a lot lightened. And the presentation went great. The lesson here, the point of the story is that was in one degree a failure. And in that moment, I realized, oh crap, I just failed miserably in the middle of my presentation. But that failure actually catapulted that presentation into something that it otherwise would not have been. that failure made my presentation better. And I learned in that moment that failures give you the opportunity to succeed, that failures give you the chance to actually feed off that failure and find an opportunity in it that you can use to make something better. And my presentation went stellar because of it. And for whatever reason, that reason, from that point on, I've never had any qualms or hesitations about speaking to groups, because I know that the worst that could happen would be me push play on a movie and open up to a classroom or an auditorium on a sex scene. Inappropriate. Oh snap, he just went there. But it did not make me, it didn't break the room, it actually lightened the room. I'm not saying go put a sex scene in the beginning of your presentations, folks, but I'm just saying that learn that when you mess up and when you fail and when you trip and fall on your face, you can get right back up again and use that as a joke. Use that as a way to kind of be a little self-deprecating or catapult yourself forward and make it into a positive. So I don't know if anybody couldn't hear that this morning or it helps anybody at all. But that was a huge turning point for me in my life and even in my career, because I've looked back on that moment countless times. I've looked back on that timeless moment where I learned that a failure isn't necessarily a failure. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy that. Have an awesome Friday. Get out there, warrior on.